Welcome back, everybody, to the Frequency of Fatherhood Summit. I am proud to be with my guest today, Steve Eckert. Steve, thank you so much for being here. I'm so honored to have you on this summit and speaking to us today. Before we get going into any real big questions, Steve, can you tell us, how did you get to where you're at today? How did you get into coaching and all the other great things that you're doing right now with your community?
Well, first off, I love what you're doing. You're doing freaking God's work, talking about the frequency of fatherhood. Like, couldn't be a better name for it, couldn't be a better time for it. So, second you reached out, I was like, hell yeah, I'm in. This is like what the world needs, what men need, what young boys need at this point. And that's probably how I got started, is by starting to realize that and recognize that. Really started probably before even realizing it was when I was a kid, and realized I didn't have any real positive male role models. I had my brother, that was about it. My father was there living in the house, but was just an absent father, an abusive father, and a drunk, and didn't have any positive male role models till I got into the Marine Corps and started looking up to other men and seeing what a real squared away, disciplined man should look like. Think about it, like a drill instructor, seeing how sharp they are and how controlled they are and disciplined they are and fit they are and well-spoken they are and clear and concise, and realizing that's what a man is supposed to be. And then that just carried over into every business I've ever had. I started off as a personal trainer, and as I was training people for fitness, realizing I could give them the fitness program, I can give them the diet, the nutrition. It's just like in business coaching. You can give someone a sales funnel, a marketing funnel. You can give them all the tools, all the tangible things that can turn them into a millionaire. But if they don't have the foundational stuff, like the right mindset, the right discipline, the right type of energy, not taking care of themselves first, all that other stuff is freaking useless. So especially once I started having kids, had my first son, I realized, all right, it's time to get my shit together. It's time to break the cycle of lacking positive male role models in my family tree, which it goes on for as far back as I know in our family line. And it's time to start being the type of man that my son's going to want to become, being the type of man my daughter's going to want to marry, being the type of man that my wife's going to respect and feel safe around. And that's really where it all started. I'd say from childhood into the military, into business, into starting a family. And it's like, you just learn along that way. And I'm still learning every fucking day. I'm learning. There's so much out there to learn. I'm always having my face buried in books and podcasts and everything I could possibly soak in. And I'm just sharing what I learn along the process as I learn it with other men that I know probably can use the same information to help that I've gotten in the past.
Yeah, I respect that, because I have a very similar path. And the military helped me. It opened my eyes up to, wow, men are this way. When you're saying that, it really hit home. It was my drill sergeant. I wasn't like scared of the drill sergeants, or I went in a little bit later in life. But yeah, they spoke well. They're clear. They're concise, as you said. And most of them were in shape. But I was in the Army, guys, not Marines. So Marines are a little bit better shape than the Army, I won't lie. So it did change my perspective, though, of what men are. And at that time, I was a bricklayer for 10 years. So I was hanging around all these construction workers, and I was just like, man, these guys are a bunch of deadbeats. Again, the Army, I see drive, I see purpose and passion and leadership. And it was a whole new ball game. And then I had my son at 38, so it was a little different for me there. I was older, and it changed my life. It's a special moment, and you have to really go deep within, And with that being said, I really want to ask you then, what is fatherhood to you, and why is it important then?
Well, why is it important? Let's first go give a couple examples of why it's important and why it's what you're doing is so important. That's why I even said this is like God's work. What you're doing is, I've told this story a couple of times before. I was at my daughter's birthday party. It was 2 or 3 years ago. It was at some horse ranch place, and my wife is setting up all the decorations and everything, and I'm the one there just. I'm not the best people person. I'm the one greeting all the mothers and daughters that are coming in and hanging out with them, meaning like 10, 12 mothers and all their daughters that are waiting for the party to start, the ones that got there early or whatever. And I'm just talking to them, just regular small talk. And they see stuff online of mine. So they're asking me about one of the men's program, the project, which is a total off the wall, violent, military style, totally it's misunderstood, but it's changed lives. It's prevented men from committing suicide. It's saved marriages. It's rekindled father and son relationships. It's made such transformation. So they've seen it and they asked me about it. It's a very brutal, physical program, violent program. And they're asking me about it. They're like, "Oh, I've seen you doing that project. That thing looks intense." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's pretty freaking intense." And one of the women says, and keep in mind, this is in front of all of her friends and peers and all of their daughters, says, "Oh my God." And she starts laughing. She's like, "If my husband did that, he would quit in like the first 60 seconds. He would never make it." And they all start laughing. Mothers and daughters start laughing at this little girl's father, who's supposed to be her hero, her superhero, her knight in shining armor. And the whole neighborhood is fucking laughing that this dude would quit in 60 seconds. They think it's funny, and that's normal to them. So it's a normal conversation between women and their daughters about the men who are supposed to be leading the household. Like, think of how fucked we are as a society when that's normal and common knowledge. And think about the fact that boys nowadays don't even are confused about what bathroom they're supposed to use. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they don't know how did that even, I don't know where that even came from. Like, this is what fatherhood is. Fathering is needed more now than anything. Being a father is a verb. It's the number one thing that's needed in this world, and especially in this country. But it's also the number one thing that's lacking in the world and in this country, which is crazy. That's a fucking recipe for disaster. Like, the statistics are crazy that there's, all right, so there's over a 50% divorce rate, but then also 40% of kids, they say, are born into a single parent home. So 40% are born into a single parent home. So that means that leaves 60% that have two parents. But then out of those two parents, the 60%, over 50% of those are getting divorced. And now you have less than 3 out of 10 that are with two parents. How many of the parents that are at home, dads, are actually involved and active and pouring energy in and in shape and showing up the way they should be as a role model? Maybe 1 out of those 3. So you're talking about 1 out of every 10 dads, probably less than 1 out of 10 dads are actually a positive male role model in their family's life. Like, think about it. How does your son look at you? Like, if you're fucking fat and you got bitch tits and a big old gut, and you're sitting on the couch drinking beer, spending 4 hours on Sunday afternoon watching a football game, do you think your son is sitting there looking at you like, wow, I want to be just like that guy when I'm older? Fuck no. He's looking at you like, wow, you would probably get your ass whooped by every other dad on the block. That's what he's thinking of when he looks at you. I hope I don't, it's not genetic and I look nothing like you. That's what I thought of when I was a kid. I wanted to be nothing like my father, and I was going to break the cycle and dedicate my entire life to breaking that cycle. And there's so many studies I've read about fatherless homes, and it doesn't matter if the wealth of the mother or the ethnicity or age or whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a greater chance that a fatherless kid or a home without a father is going to be a greater chance of going to be unemployed when they're older, greater chance of sexual assault, greater chance of teenage pregnancy, of just overall suffering abuse and neglect, 3 times more likely to go to freaking prison, twice as likely to be a high school dropout, or half as likely to go to college or even graduate college. Not that I'm a big believer in high school or college, and we'll get into that, but still, for some people, that's their thing. There's a greater tendency for violence, more depression, drug use. There's worse grades in school without fathers in the fucking home. It's crazy. Like, this, it's mind-boggling. Like, that is the number one pandemic in this fucking country, is fatherless homes. And just because there's a male in the home doesn't mean that there's a fucking man in the home. And just because a male has a kid, and even because he's living in the home, doesn't make him a father. Just because you have a kid doesn't make you a father. It makes you a fucking sperm donor if you're not having the responsibility you should be having as a fucking father.
No, I agree 100%. I say it all the time. Like, families are teams. You have to work together. And if mom's bashing dad, what the fuck precedent does that send? That just teaches your kid that that's okay to bash men at all costs. And it gets us in the society that we're in right now. Look at the society. I mean, do people think this is great to tell your kids which bathroom they can use, and that there's 3 types of bathrooms for all these genders? Like, it's totally messed up, and people are confused. And I do believe what you said is 100% true, that when it's because the dad's gone. Dads have been gone for a while, and dads have been taken advantage of, or just not doing the work. They're just not showing up. They think they're just paying the bills, and that's good enough. And it's time to step up to fatherhood 2.0 is what I always call it. I'm like, fatherhood 1.0 is over, guys. We're in 2.0. All right. We need to step it up. We need to be present with our kids. We need to build a relationship. As you said, it's not, you don't automatically become a father. You have to build it. You have to build a connection. You have to build a relationship with those kids. It's not just given to you. And I think that's why so many dads are just yelling at their kids. They don't have a relationship. Their only relationship is them yelling and not being able to control their own emotions, because they're not centered. They're not balanced. They have no idea what that even means, because they've never figured that out with their wives. or themselves solo. It's crazy. You mentioned school right there. I'm going to take a little break here from what I was going to ask next. I'd love to hear your take on schooling. I am a homeschooler. We unschool, world school, road school. So that means we travel a lot. My son's been to more countries than most of my best friends in their 40s, and my family in their 40s and 50s. And my son's lived in more states than them. And we go everywhere. We want him to see all the cultures. So he would never be in public schooling. University would be up to him. But again, I doubt he would go there. What's your take on that, on all of schooling?
Yeah, awesome. I love what you just said, world school and road school. I just wrote that down. I'm taking notes here, just like anyone else might be watching this. So hell yeah. And we don't call it homeschooling either. We just call it home lifing. We're just literally teaching them how to live. There's no real curriculum. We don't have any state funding or curriculum we're following from the government, because what would be the point of that? We're literally just showing them how to live. We're working together, working out together, creating businesses together, learning together, listening to audiobooks, reading the same books as each other, and then talking about them, having dinner together every night, showing them how a family should operate, how a man should operate, how you should take care of yourself, and with the workouts and your discipline and your training and morning routines. We do all that type of stuff together, literally all of it together every day. I work from home, my wife works from home, and the kids are both at home for home lifing, and we have our own curriculum. Like what we do is the same thing. We'll take the RV on a road trip and we'll work from the road for a week or two, and they'll just do their thing. My son has his stuff he works on. My daughter has the things she works on, and it's a freedom. It's a pure freedom. And it's crazy how much more freedom you have and what you're really capable of when you pull them out of school. Because what they're doing in school is such a waste of their lives. Like when I was making the move to switch to homeschool, I had an aunt, I think it was an aunt, that asked me, well, what are you going to do? You have so many clients and so many events and so many things you're speaking. You're always so busy. How are you going to have time to do homeschooling? And I said, so what you're telling me is I should neglect my kids, pawn them off to some fucking fat person who is going to tell them to choose a bathroom and doesn't have the same ideals or values as me, just so I can make a few extra dollars. Like literally the year I homeschooled, I intentionally, not intentionally, but I've made a couple $100,000 less the first year of homeschooling. I'm just saying homeschooling so listeners will know what I'm talking about. But I made a lot less money, because why would I pawn that off my kids' education? Like, who better to teach your kids than you? Who better to lead your kids than you on how to live than you? And I asked one of my homeschooling mentors, Matt B. I don't even know how Bodro. I don't know if you know him or not.
Yep.
I said to him, what is the downside to homeschooling? Because he was one that was really getting me into it a little over a year ago, and I've gotten to know him pretty well. And he said, the downside to homeschooling is if you're a shitty parent. Like the only reason you're not wouldn't be good at homeschooling is if you're a shitty parent. Like other than that, you have nothing to worry about. You overthink it, you overstress it. And so, yeah, we literally went on a last Thanksgiving. We were on an RV trip. We were in Death Valley hiking these huge sand dunes, and we were loving it. We wanted to stay a couple extra days. We called the school, told them that the kids were going to be missing the next couple of days. And they're like, well, they already missed too many days this year because we take them with us all the time. And they're absent. And if they don't do enough days, they're going to have to do in the summer, and they'll get left back if they miss all this fucking threats they did. We said, you know what? That we're never sending them back to school ever again. They literally never went back after that trip. We just sent an email out to the state of California. So we're taking over full responsibility of our kids' education, sending emails to the school so they won't be back. We'll be there to pick up their shit in a couple of days. And we've never sent them back. Like I have to explain to someone who I don't even agree with the way that they think. They don't have the same mission, vision, values, and goals that I do. And I have to explain to them what and why I'm doing with my kids, when my kids are getting much more learning and value and education out of the shit we're doing together than they're going to do in school. How important is it for them to know the fucking length of a T-Rex's claw? How is that going to help them run a business when they're older? Like, it's useless fucking information that they're just remembering. And I was doing some basic math with my kids that related to business, teaching them some math and percentages, useful math. And they were asking me about schooling math. And I don't even know some type of math they're asking, algebra. I was like, I don't even know what that is technically. I really don't even know what it is. A plus B equals C squared. I'm like, you'll never need to use that in your freaking life. Unless you're going to a specific route of some kind of engineering, then you've obviously are doctors, lawyers. You need a certain amount of schooling in college. That's a different story. But in general, I don't think my kids are going to be employable at all. So they're not going to need any college or whatever. I don't see them being employable, but I am going to have a requirement that they do get some jobs just to have that discipline and see what it's all about and how to communicate, how to deal with shitty people, how to deal with annoying customers. I will require them to have jobs before they ever come and fully work for me full time, just so they can get some of that experience, just as almost like a in the trenches learning lesson. And that's what kind of school was for them the last 2 years. We already knew we wanted to bring them out, take them out of school, but just didn't have the balls to pull the trigger on it for a while. And it was like school was like their training grounds for everything I was teaching them at home, how to deal with haters and all the bullies or bullshit and the things they don't agree with the teacher and communication and standing up for themselves. They would just use school to practice that. And after a while, I said, you know what? They could practice it in the real world. They don't need to practice it stuck in this fucking box where they're told to be quiet, sit down, stop talking. Young boys who want to run around and be wild and crazy and break shit. Like that's what we're meant to do, and fight and wrestle and make noise and release energy. We're constantly told to be quiet. No, stop doing that. Sit down. You can't do it. Like just repressing it. And then they wonder why men are fucking soft and weak. They're being groomed that way in school, literally every day by strangers who have not the same values as the parents and fathers.
Yeah, 100%. And talk about taking your power back, bro. That's an impressive story. Taking your power back right there. And I speak that all the time to tell all the guys. I'm like, you need to take your power back. You need to know every fucking thing that's going on in your household. You need to be able to take your power back in your kids' education, your kids' health. You know, we trust doctors way too much, and we send our kids to doctors for the quick fix when the doctor just turns around and gives them a pill. I mean, military, we did the same shit, but that's the military. This isn't like real life, right? It's real life. Why would I send my kid for a quick fix for a pill? It's ridiculous when I can take care of him and I can look up what's going on. It's like today he has a fever and he's just drinking like a drip drop, you know, the hydration salts. And I'm like, dude, the most important thing right now is water for you. You need water. You need to hydrate. You need hydrating foods and all organic fruits and vegetables, grass-fed beef's what he had. And that's about it. He's kind of fasting almost, right? His body's doing the work because we took our power back in the health field also. So it's like, huh?
Yeah, my daughter just went to the doctor today, just like a regular checkup and blood work and physical, just to like do a regular checkup. She's 9 years old, and she comes back and she's like, she told them her back has been like tweaked. She went to a chiropractor and just workouts and crazy gymnastics shit and all the crazy bike riding and scooters and jumps and crazy stuff she does. So she told them her back was just like a little tweaked or whatever. And she said every single nurse in there was not just heavy, they were obese. And they're telling her then, oh, we'll just lay low, lay off the activity for a little while. We can get her some medication if you want, like automatically telling her, stop moving, stop doing stuff here, pump some fucking drugs in you and she even said, how can I listen to these big people telling me what to do? Hell no, I'm not going to stop doing this stuff.
And as a 9-year-old, she's that smart and has that much critical thinking and discernment to be like, no, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. And how do adults not see that? That's the thing is like, fathers, what are you doing out there? Wake up. Take control of your kids' lives. Take control of their schooling too. I'm going to move past the schooling, but I agree with you 100%. I thought that's awesome. We have an RV. We take it on the road a lot. And my son every time we come back from a trip in the RV, it's like that kid up leveled 10 times. So there's definitely something there about them traveling, seeing different cultures and just different ways of living. I think that's way more important than anything that a school could teach. And unfortunately, both my sisters are teachers, so we get in these arguments all the time. And they know I preach like this all the time to my community. Anyways, you're talking about one of your other programs, but I saw that you have this program called the Freak Father Alliance, the Masculinity Mastery Program. I love that name. First of all, it's awesome. Can you explain the program and why is it important for men to master their mindset, muscles, money, and meaning?
Yeah, definitely. So really it's all about, it's really what all men need. And a lot of men's programs give them that same thing is the transformation that they need to, I call it be the one, like be the one so they can stop having that work-life imbalance and stop lacking purpose and can't find their higher calling. And they're just kind of lost and lost that spark and just dragging ass and just living average and mediocre and just getting by and just fucking checking boxes. And it's looking when they're looking to start really living the life they were created to freaking live, creating their own, I call it your ideal freedom lifestyle. Like you're talking about the world school and road school. I love it. Like that's the lifestyle you're looking to create. Like that's what men were meant to do, is create that type of lifestyle. And it's about learning to just flip the switch in your way of thinking, your perspective, and start just having this no excuses, no bullshit, just badass mindset that just gets you to adapt and overcome and just destroy the obstacles that are preventing your success in your mindset, your family, your fitness, and your business. So you can just, for once, finally stop being a little bitch and just get your shit together and start living life on your own fucking terms and creating that ultimate lifestyle that you're looking for. And I think all those pillars fall into it. In the project, one program we have, we call the Family, Fitness, Finance, and Faith. In the Freak Father Alliance, I call it it's the mastery, the mindset, the muscles, the money, and then the mission and the meaning. And it's really breaks down the pillars of what men are created to do. Men need to be more intentional. And I think going back to the military, the drill instructors, I would look at them, even when they were flipping out and they were fucking throwing shit and just fucking with us. I loved every second of it. Like they were such awesome individuals, because I know everything was done with intentionality. And that's actually my word of the year coming up for the year. My theme of the year is intentionality. Just everything was done for a reason. There was no wasted effort or energy. Everything was deliberate and purposeful and well thought out. And they were operating with meaning and with purpose in everything they did. Everything was deliberate, and deliberate choices that are reflecting like the most important and the priorities to get you to accomplish the mission. It's just about intentionality, like nothing unplanned or accidental, just having that structure and strategy, that the tactical and technical way that they would show up is the same way that I think all men should be showing up, with intentionality in their mindset, in their masculinity, in their muscles, with their money, and of course with their meaning and purpose. I think there's nothing worse on this fucking planet than a man who has kids and starts saying that he can't find his purpose. He's lost, he's depressed, he's down, he's confused. He doesn't know what life is all about, and he needs to go find his purpose. And he's got kids sitting at home that he's not spending time with, but doesn't know what his fucking purpose is. Like, it's right in front of you, dummy. It's right there. Like, it's been given to you. The gift has been given to you. The answer is there. And they keep searching and searching and searching for this answer when it's right in front of them. So it's really what I'm always trying to do is help men to become what I call the one that their family can rely on and look to and turn to. And the one that is the strong, the consistent man that controls his emotions. Like, that's what the one is all about, creating them to be the one in their mindset, muscles, money, meaning. And again, like being that type of man your son wants to become, your daughter wants to marry, and really finding out what the fuck you're really capable of as a man. What is your real potential and who the hell you really are? And along the way, taking your family, taking your sons and daughters and your wife along for the ride and leveling them up with you, creating memorable experiences for your kids. Like you said, those RV trips with your kids, like those are awesome experiences they're going to remember forever. Like, how often are men creating experiences for their kids that their kids are going to remember for the rest of their life, where when they're on their deathbed, their kids are sitting there for a week straight saying, remember when this, remember when that. And they remember the scent that was in the air. They remember the shirt that their dad was wearing when they went to go do this thing, or the music that was playing on the radio while they were driving to go do this thing, or when this crazy thing happened, or when they did this amazing experience. Like, how often is that shit happening? It's our job to create those experiences. It's our job to keep the house in order in all these different areas, to be the one that shows them how you're supposed to show up as a man, how you're supposed to control your emotions as a man, how you're supposed to be fit and strong as a man. And that's all part of what goes into the coaching of men to be the one.
Yeah, I love that. And I love intentionality as your word of the year. I think it's super important for people to be intentional. And just really quick to hit on that, what would be one way that you tell men to start being intentional? Because I see a lot of men out here, just as you're kind of alluding to, that they're just mindlessly going through life. They're scrolling. They're coming home back to video games. It's like everything's screens. At work, they're on a screen. They're trying to climb the corporate ladder. That's all they give a shit about. So what would be one way that you think, hey, today we can start being intentional by this?
Oh yeah, awesome question. There's dozens that it could be because literally my entire day is broken down into time blocks of just intentionality, everything with specific intention. But I'd say first off is they have a wife, they have kids, is a scheduled date night. What is the scheduled date? Like having a rhythm and a flow. Like I know what my week looks like in general, and except if there's traveling or events. Like I know the rhythm and the flow what the week is going to be like. So I know when I have date night. That's tonight. I know that exactly it's going to be that time, the same day, Thursday, every Thursday night, the same time. We also have meetings, family meetings every Sunday. We have a family meeting. The whole entire family gets together. We have a whole template that we follow, a whole framework that we follow for a family meeting. But then me and my wife also have a meeting every Tuesday morning. It's more of a business meeting. So it's business is only talked then because we work together, we live together, we both work from home so that you don't blur the lines. You're not sitting at dinner and talking about business and money and bank accounts and P&Ls and all this other profits and whatever else. That stuff gets talked about in a business meeting. If it starts to come up at another time, we say, all right, we're either going to save this for the business meeting or do we need to schedule another time to actually go into the office? Because that's the only place we talk work and business is in one of our two offices in the house. It doesn't get talked about anywhere else. So the environment of the house is even very intentional. What gets done in different rooms, what energy you're bringing into a room. So I know when I come into my office, it's the energy of going to work. When I step out of my office, it's literally checking in intentionally, like I'm walking through a magical portal, transforming from the instructor, the salesman, the coach, whatever else, into the husband, the daddy, the human. Like literally, I walk through that doorway. It's intentional. Like I'm walking through that portal and transforming and humanizing myself. And it's all structured. There's family meetings. Then I have meetings with the kids. I just had it yesterday with both kids, one-on-one. I'll meet with my son one-on-one on the schedule, on the calendar every week, same time. I'll meet my daughter one-on-one. Then I'll also meet with just me and the two kids. And then we have the meeting with all four of us together. And then my wife does the same thing. She meets, obviously just me and her meet. Then she meets with just my son. She meets with my daughter. And then she meets with just two of them together. Because every one of those meetings and get-togethers is a different dynamic. So we're getting every single possible dynamic within the family guaranteed on a scheduled time in a rhythm every single week. Of course, we have much more that we do together than that, but that's like knowing that we're at least at a bare minimum hitting all those checkpoints throughout the week. It's a freedom, and it makes like when I'm doing something like this, I don't have to think, oh shit, I'm neglecting my kids doing this. I know everything is accounted for and going to get its time where then I could be intentional on that. So I could dive in and have laser beam focus on every single task when I'm doing it and not have to feel guilty about the personal life when I'm neglecting the professional or the professional when I'm neglecting the personal life.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, actually. And guys, I hope you're listening because what he's saying is you need to be intentional with your time and check in where you're at and be present. That's a huge thing for fathers. Be present. When it's time to be with your kids, put the fucking phone down, stop bullshitting around and play with your kids, especially if you have toddlers. All they want to do is play. It's not hard to be a dad and play with a toddler. I have a 3-year-old. All he wants to do is wrestle and fight and jump on me. And don't get me wrong, I'm tired sometimes, but sometimes it's as easy as me just getting on all fours and letting him climb on me. It's that easy. It's still intentional time. And I love that you said that. We're taking off the hats and trading them in all the time, being very intentional with our time. I think that's one of the most important. And plus, not only that, Steve, what you're saying, you guys are building a communication skill that's like no other family. Talk about teamwork. The communication, the abilities that they're getting, or skills, I should really say, the skills in emotional intelligence and emotional literacy that they're getting from their parents is blowing away anything that public school or parents that aren't being intentional with their kids are getting. I mean, they're getting way more. So I do love that, what you're saying. And I have one more question. When you're talking about purpose, you made me think of one of my best friends. I was back home in Cleveland. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. And I was back home in the summer. My best friend, he won't be buying this, I guarantee. So I said, what's your purpose? And you talked about this a little bit. And he said, Jack, why the fuck do I have to have a purpose? I work for the power lines. I'm going to go do the power line work as much overtime as I can, make money, and smoke weed and get drunk on the weekends. He's my age. I'm 42. So he's 41, I think, but maybe a year younger. I'm like, man, dude, that's sad that's how your life is. And for me, I had to then think, I'm like, he goes, why is it important to have a purpose? So I'm going to ask you that same question, Steve. Why is it important to have purpose?
Yeah, awesome question. And I don't know, I know so many quotes. I don't remember who they are, so I don't know who it was. It's something like this. Someone said the heaviest burden for a man to carry is to have nothing to carry. Like, that is a burden. We were built, like, our purpose first. I think as men, our purpose is to have kids. I think that's really what our purpose is. Aside from any higher calling and whatever your religious beliefs or God or a creator, higher power, other than that being your purpose, as any human would be, if in your religious sense, like in a real, on the tangible side, is to have kids, I think. And not only sons, but especially sons, like leading your sons, because those are going to be the future fathers of the country, of the world, of the planet. So we were built to carry the load. We were built to bear the weight. Like, that's what we were made for. We were created for. We were created to create. We were made strong to be strong for our freaking families. We were made smart to freaking teach. We were made, I think, to bring order to the chaos of the freaking planet. Like, that's our job, to bring order to the freaking chaos and smile in the face of it. Like I said, be that one that rushes towards the fucking gunfire. Like, that's what fathering is. Fathering not just your kids, fathering the fucking universe, fathering the planet, and being the one that brings hope and thinks bigger and inspires change, and the one people want to watch, being the one that's always ready to protect and provide and just ready for war and violence when needed. Like, this is our purpose, to be the one that can control our emotions under chaos, throughout the chaos, and realize that pain is just permanent, and you can handle the beatings and the suffering and the hardships and the pain and suffering, so that the people around you don't have to take so much of it. So the women and your children don't have to take so much of it. Like, we're built for that. And then realize pain is permanent. It's not just temporary. And once you realize pain is permanent, you can live there. You smile in the face of adversity and you're used to it. You even seek pain and suffering and adversity to be the one who shows up with the fucking shield and the sword. And you're the sponge that soaks up the pain, and you're the source of energy. And underneath my theme of intentionality for the year, one of my other ones is Overwatch, and another one is Flamekeeper. And Flamekeeper is fucking huge to me. To me, the man should be the Flamekeeper, the one who tends to the fire at night and keeps the fire burning for the family, keeps the families and really the world's. Because if you think about it, if the numbers all the statistics I talked about in the beginning about suicides and prison and sexual assault is in fatherless homes, like, we literally are the future. Men are the future. And it could sound sexist and whatever, women's rights, all that other bullshit you want to talk about, great. But those numbers don't fucking lie. When there's a fatherless home, those things happen. This isn't me just making it up and being Mr. Cool Guy, like tough guy man or whatever. This is not toxic masculinity. It's the fucking truth, and it's statistics. But a man is meant to be the Flamekeeper, the one that keeps the families and the community's ideas alive and ideals alive, and to keep the fire going. It's our duty and obligation to maintain that order, to maintain the discipline and energy and momentum of the family, to keep the belief and the faith alive in the family, burning and growing, and not just a flame keeper, but then a flame fucking thrower, spreading that fire to your family and to your sons so they can grow up to be even better fathers than you. And I add those two words into everything all the time. That's my last segment of my theme of the year, is even and then yet, meaning you can always be an even better husband, an even better father. You can always be even stronger, even faster. You can always make even more money. Whenever you throw even behind it, it makes you constantly goal striving. And that's the way men are meant to be. We're not meant to be. You're never going to hit the goal. Every goal is just the starting point of your next fucking goal. We can't stay still. They're not meant to. We're meant to be goal striving mechanisms. So you can always do even better. You can always go even deeper, work even harder, do even more. And then the word yet I throw behind stuff all the time. All right, maybe a man is not making $1 million a year yet. Maybe he doesn't have his six pack yet. Always throwing the even before something, and yet after something makes it limitless possibilities. And that's the way a man needs to be. The one man needs to be that Flamekeeper that keeps that ideal and that lifestyle alive for the family, keeps the fire in their family's eyes and the fire in their mind burning and blazing at all times, keeps the fire lit under their ass when it's needed, and that little push and pressure when it's needed, but also that lifting up when it's needed That's what the flame keeper is doing. The flame is life. The sun is the source of energy and life. And that's what the man's job is, to be that fucking flame keeper and keep it burning alive. Help them to carry that fire and keep it roaring and blazing and fucking burning out the darkness that's in the family. Like, that's our fucking purpose. And if that's why I said, if you have kids and you start thinking of purpose like that, being that flame keeper, being the one with intentionality, all these things that I'm talking about, and you can't find purpose, like, you are a fucked up individual, and you're a piece of shit. You need to get your shit together.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And I do use yet. Yet was my word this year. And it was big for my son because he's 3 years old, about to turn 4. And he said, I can't do it. I'd say yet. I can't do it yet, Dad.
Oh, yeah.
So, and now when he's about to turn 4, he's already saying yet. He has that into this is gonna be habits that they have forever. We're training them, we're giving them habits and skills that we learned as men. And you could teach kids this. It's amazing. So to me, I agree. Your purpose is like when you start seeing these kids and what they're capable of. I don't know how it doesn't push you to or make you strive for something greater than what you have. It makes no sense to me. And with that being said, what about when people are like, Steve, but victim mentality? You know, all these people are playing victimhood nowadays. What are we supposed to do with them, Steve?
It's hard to even get it. Like, it's hard to even get into that. There's going to be always a certain percentage of people that aren't meant to be at your level, at the level that you're at. And it's really not giving a shit about the people that don't matter, and absolutely giving a shit about the people that do matter. The whole victim mentality. Yeah, it's our job to try and uplift, but we can't help everybody. It starts at home, getting your house in order, meaning your house, yourself, your own mind and body first. And have you ever seen those rings where it goes out to the different layers, and it starts yourself, then right into your spouse, even before your kids, and then your kids, then your close friends and family, then your team and your business and your company, then your community, then it just spreads out into the world. You can't do it all, but it's at least those inner circles, starting with those higher priorities. And a lot of those outer rings are going to be, oh yeah, victims. Oh, I can't do that. I'm not capable. You're just fucking lucky. And this and that, you're whatever. You can't, you're not going to make everyone happy. And when you try to, you're going to make no one happy, including yourself. So the first starts with not stressing that stuff, getting your house in order.
Yeah, I agree. I just, me and my wife, we always talk about, we just don't pay mind to them people. They're NPCs, and that's literally how we look at them. And if it's in our family, which we have many in our family, they don't agree with our lifestyle. It is what it is. I don't pay mind to you, and I just keep on moving with guys who are driven to go forward and be better, because we're the ones changing the world. We're the ones holding this together. It's not the people that have the victim mentality, because that victim mentality, I have no room for it. I've been through probably more shit than the people. Like, when you tell me you're a victim, you have this victim mentality and you've done nothing in life except for work at Starbucks. How the fuck am I supposed to respect you?
And I've never overcome anything, never really been through much at all adversity. I know what you're saying. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I was going through apprenticeship as a bricklayer at 14 years old because my family owned one of the biggest bricklaying companies. So at 14, I'm hauling mortar and bricks. And this grown-ass man's telling me he is PTSD from working at Starbucks and be yelled at by a manager. Get out of here.
Rough life. Rough fucking life.
I'll bring us back on track here. All right, how does the combination of physical, because we haven't talked about spiritual either, and spiritual fitness contribute to the development of character traits such as discipline, resilience, self-mastery, a lot of these tools we want to give our kids?
Yeah, I think it goes really back into that flame keeper. That's keeping the faith alive in the family, also keeping the belief and faith in themselves, realizing there's more to themselves in a higher power, and whatever someone's beliefs are in a creator, the universe, whatever you want to call it, and realizing, again, I think it goes back into that purpose. That purpose and spirituality, to me, it goes hand in hand. The same as that, it goes together. That's really what it's all about when you think about spirituality, but also the physical and spiritual fitness together, like taking care of yourself. That is you are your most important client. You are your most important person. That's why I said getting your house in order doesn't mean taking care of everyone else around you. People think that that's what it means when you say put others above yourself or whatever else. That means when you say that, you're just assuming that person has already gotten their shit together, because you first need to get your own shit together. Otherwise, you're showing up to go serve your people, at a lower frequency and a lower level than you are. You're really doing them a disservice by not getting your own shit together, both physically, mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, like getting all that stuff together. And in order to level up in that spiritual fitness, that physical fitness, all these different fitnesses that we're talking about, it takes a lot of pushing and pressuring of yourself. And a lot of the things that I've kind of mentioned about what our, in the purpose section, like what our purpose is what we're here for. And we are here to create. We're here to be strong. We're here to teach. We're here to lead. We're here to bring order to the chaos, to be that shield and the sword and the sponge and the source and the one, and connecting all that together to something outside of yourself. Once you have your own shit together, connecting it to something, a higher power, a higher calling, a higher purpose. Those are really the two parts that go together. And then talk about, it all starts with you and your own physical fitness. I think physical fitness is the number one discipline that leads to all disciplines. That's the way I see it. And that's why we take no days off. My son is 12. He hasn't taken a single day off in 2023 or 2022 and most of 2021. Like I'm saying, 0 days off of training every single day. And some of those include 24-hour workouts. We do these 24-hour workouts where we just do it for a fundraiser, 24 hours straight. We pick a routine, or it was a physical fitness test. One time it was weightlifting. We've done it for hiking, for push-ups, for bike riding, where we just see how far we can get in 24 hours with no sleep and pushing ourselves, pressuring ourselves. And in those times, you go deep and dark and internal. You find out who the hell you really are, what you're really capable of. You go deep into your purpose, deep into your meaning, you go deeper into a higher power, a higher calling, something so much bigger outside of yourself. And I think as men, we need to demonstrate that to each other, but also we need to demonstrate that to our kids. We need to demonstrate that to the world. We need to demonstrate that we are men, that we are capable, that we do have what it takes. The book, what was the book? Wild at Heart talks about want to find out if they have what it takes. Like men need to find out they have what it takes and regularly re-find out, do they still have what it takes? We need to demonstrate to our sons that we're built differently, that we have strength and honor and courage and commitment, that we have freaking balls, and that we're not just thinking about ourselves, that we're living as a savage servant, and living a life of service to our family, to other people, to the community, to a higher power, like being the providers and protectors, but also at the same time, humanizing ourselves. Like we're fucked up. We make shitloads of mistakes. Are we perfect all the time? Hell no. Do we lose our control of our emotions sometimes? Yes, we do. But that's part of being a fucking man. There's part of what testosterone is. We have testosterone, showing them what we're really meant for, though, and showing them how to handle adversity, how to deal with shitty situations and shitty people and hardship and slow months in business and people who are threatening you and attacking you. We need to show them how to suffer, how to struggle, how to sacrifice, and come on the other side of that as a stronger fucking man, more in connection with yourself, more in connection with each other, more in connection with a higher calling, to really find out who we really freaking are, and if we still have what it takes, and that we are capable and not going to crumble under the pressure to, again, bring that order to the chaos.
Yeah, I love that. And you sound like Chad Wright's the one who does those 24-hour workouts, right? I believe it's Chad Wright. And
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he's retired Navy SEAL, I want to say. And he does these 24-hour workouts too, and it's just super intense. What that looks like to me, though, when you're telling me you're taking your son, that's a rites of passage all day.
Oh, hell yeah. The whole family does it. My wife does it. My daughter does as much as she can. And we've done 8 or 9 of them already in the last 2.5 years. And they're always for a charity, for a fundraiser. Then we just donate it to the fundraiser, the military fundraisers. We've done it for dog shelters, animal shelters, for stuff for kids. Like, so it always has a higher calling and a higher purpose. And that's what we're doing. And we connect so much. And hell yeah, it's a rite of passage every time. We come out there completely different human beings, completely different beasts. Like, you have to go through such a level of darkness and to go through it and come out on the other side and realize what are you really doing it for? We get so much out of it every time. The connection that we get to ourselves, to each other. And then again, it's also for fundraisers and for a charity, for a higher calling. It's a huge rite of passage every time for me too. It's all of us together as a connection, as a family.
Yeah, talk about challenging yourself. I mean, and I agree with you. What you were saying is we need to challenge ourselves as men. We need to challenge our kids. I mean, constantly so that they level up nonstop. And I believe it was Joe Rogan said um, how he thinks it's so bad that like you look at the world and the greatest guys had to go through the hardest shit. And you don't see the guys who already have everything all just go to put themselves out there into hardship. You know,
Mhm.
so doing that, what you're doing for your son is a rites of passage and putting him through hardship without him having to go through some of that war games that we had to go through or some other shit of losing people and friends and family, you know, absolutely amazing. And I talk rites of passage quite a bit because I think it's that important because I don't want my son to go to war and see the things I've seen or have all of his family die and see all that, what I've also seen in friends. So the only other way is to challenge ourselves. So I love that you said that. And guys, I hope you're paying attention because this is a lot of free chicken going on right now. Um, I have only one last question for you, Steve. I ask everybody this. What is the greatest obstacle or one of the greatest obstacles that you've overcome as a father so far?
Awesome. Such a good question. I think we kind of touched on it already when I kind of mentioned I was just being a little bitch and afraid to pull the trigger for we knew we wanted to do homeschooling for like 2 years. And everyone thinks that it's impossible, that it can't be done. I'm too busy. I work or I have clients or this and that. So actually pulling the trigger, like the biggest challenge was that. And then realizing home educating my own kids myself is completely freaking possible. I thought it was impossible. I thought I was too busy. I wouldn't be able to give them the time and attention that's needed. I didn't only realize that it's possible, but it's needed. And I see it as the only way. I wouldn't send my kids back to school if they said, all right, you get $1 million per kid for every year they're in school. You can keep your fucking money. Like, hell no, it's not worth it. The time and the freedom and the growth that we have and the connection that we have. And it did take a while for, I'd say more than 2 years. I don't even know, several years, probably since they started school. Knew that there was something that I always admired about homeschooling, but always thought, oh, but that would never work for me. We tell ourselves these stories because we think it's hard and we try to avoid it. And no matter who we are, no matter how disciplined you are, there's always those things that you're being a little bitch about. And that little bitch creeps up in your head a lot. And that was one of the things on homeschooling and realizing that I am completely capable of doing it. And then people say, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to teach them science and math and history? I'm like, who says I fucking need to teach them that or want to teach them that or they want to learn that? And if there's something that's outside of the realm that I can help them with, we'll go and learn the shit together. Or if you needed, maybe bring in some outside help to in a specific skill, like a piano teacher or something like that I can't teach them. But there's so many resources out there and really just showing them how to live. Like it's a whole mind fuck to wrap your head around it. People can't even understand it when I tell them about what it's like. They ask them what grade they're in and they tell them we don't have grades anymore. Like we don't even believe in grades. Like what is a grade? Some box that someone put you in. And it took me a long time. And that was a challenge for me to get my head around it. But luckily I did because now I see it as the only way. Like I couldn't imagine throwing my kids on that bus to go to some unsecure place that's just unprotected and taught things that I don't even believe in. And they're being drilled into their head 8-9 hours a day for over a decade. Like, holy shit. Not for us. So that was a challenge at first, but now it's just easy and it's a part of everyday life.
Yeah, dude, I commend you, brother. I commend you because that's hard. And you know, we impose those self limitations on ourselves all the time. And so when you said, "Oh, I broke those chains. I broke right through them," and it was not even looking back. I mean, I love that. Um, anyway, Steve, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate your time. I'm grateful for this conversation that we got to have together. Before we go, though, can you let everyone know where they can reach you, your contact information, what social medias you have, and whatnot?
It's not hard to find someone they want to. I don't even put that stuff out there. People find it when they want to find it. I'm a believer if paths are meant to be crossed, they'll cross. If someone is really wants to, they will do the due diligence. They'll find you. It's not hard to look some up on social media. Plus, I don't think anyone even listens to when you say that stuff anyway. So I don't even leave it. If our paths are meant to be crossed, if that's fate, if that's the way it is, if they need to unfuck themselves and learn how to become the one, we'll cross paths and we'll be out there in the real world being fucking men and being fathers.
Okay, I love that, brother. Thank you again for being here.
Awesome stuff. Awesome conversation, brother.
Take care. Bye.